The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius waged a bloody and protracted battle against the Germanic tribes in 170 AD. In addition to being outnumbered, his legions were suffering from illness and the hard terrain. This catastrophic scenario gave rise to one of his most well-known quotes, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Aurelius rallied his men with unwavering Stoic resilience, and they eventually overcame the odds. This story effectively illustrates how adopting a Stoic viewpoint can enable us to endure and triumph over even the most difficult hardships by changing our point of view. Fundamentally, Stoicism emphasizes that we are powerless over outside circumstances, only our perceptions of and responses to them. Through inwardly directing our attention toward our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, we develop inner resilience, self-worth, and the capacity to face any obstacle with composure. By dividing what is under our control from what is not, ancient Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius created a timeless foundation for living a life of virtue, resilience, and freedom. We'll go over essential Stoic ideas and techniques in this video, which will give you the strength to persevere through life's difficult circumstances. We will learn how to reframe our perspective on adversity, develop our inner grit and self-control, accept what we cannot control, find meaning and growth in difficulties, and ultimately live as a wiser, more resilient version of ourselves through motivational stories from well-known examples and everyday life. So let's dive into the principles of enduring Stoic strength if you're prepared to live out the teachings of this age-old but incredibly useful philosophy. Changing the way we see things. The universe is change. Our thoughts shape the life we lead. According to Marcus Aurelius, the first and most important Stoic lesson for perseverance is in how we perceive and handle adversity. Our entire experience of adversity is shaped by our point of view. Take Muhammad Ali, one of the most recognizable and tenacious athletes in history, as an example. When his boxing career was at its height in 1967, he was drafted into the Vietnam War. Because of his views and opposition to the war, Ali declined to serve as a conscientious objector. He lost both his boxing license and heavyweight title as a result of this judgment. Even a 5-year prison sentence was imposed upon him, but it was subsequently overturned. From the outside, Ali's circumstances appeared hopeless. His future, profession, and notoriety were all at peril. But Ali answered in a way that was characteristically Stoic. "I'm not going to be who you want me to be," he said. He changed the way he saw things. This constituted a challenge to his views, which he embraced passionately. Ali's best years as an athlete were spent outside the ring as his legal fights continued for almost 4 years. For most, this would have been a disastrous setback. However, Ali embraced this opportunity to share his message with Stoic resolve, inspiring millions of people around the world with his bravery and conviction. His seeming misfortune was turned into a springboard for his bigger idea. When faced with hardship, the capacity to change our perspective is incredibly strong. Problems like bullying, betrayal, or failure become much easier to handle when we do this. Instead of being deterred by their surroundings, Stoics find meaning in them. The universe is change. Just as Marcus Aurelius taught, our thoughts shape the life we lead. A practical example is one approach to recast your perspective in a more robust, Stoic manner. Imagine that you were denied a promotion that you thought you deserved at work. From a traditional standpoint, this could be viewed as a serious setback that is unfair, depressing, and a barrier to your professional objectives. A Stoic would handle this by distinguishing between the things they can control and the things they cannot. You have power over your work performance, attitude, and effort, but ultimately, you have no say in whether or not you get promoted. Feeling bitter or furious over something that is beyond your control is not beneficial. Next, take a more comprehensive and unbiased look at the situation. Is this a major setback or merely a little setback for your career? Remember that this is only a tiny portion of a much longer journey. You and your ability are not defined by one setback. Next, recast the story in your head in a more resilient and logical way. This gives me the chance to speak candidly with my bosses, solicit their input on areas that need work, and redouble my efforts. My worth and future opportunities are not determined by this one choice. Finally, consider the course of action you want to take. Will you allow this to depress you, or will it inspire you to put in more effort and react with dignity and humility? In this situation, a Stoic person would exhibit qualities of stability, reason, and self-control. This flexible, adaptive manner of rephrasing your viewpoint turns adversity into a chance to exercise Stoic perseverance. Using this prudent strategy over time builds a strong defense against both major and small adversity, enhancing one's inner strength. No one is able to have all they desire, but they can choose not to seek what they cannot have and to gladly make the most of what they do have. Epictetus. Stoic strength is rooted in inner fortitude, which is the practice of developing reason, self-control, and virtue to withstand outside influences. Mike Tyson, the legendary boxer, embodies this guiding concept throughout his life story. When Tyson was at his best, he was the most feared guy in the ring, crushing opponents with viciousness. Outside of him, excesses, drugs, alcohol, erroneous attachments, and volatility spiraled out of control. By his own admission, Tyson became lost and let his irrational urges and cravings control him. Tyson used Stoic philosophy to help him rise above the remnants of his demolished empire. Discipline, according to him, is the ability to perform what you detest with passion. Tyson accepted the Stoics' unwavering commitment to gaining control over our thoughts, feelings, and will. Tyson adopted the phrase, "make the mind toughen it up," which is rooted in the Stoic philosophy of employing reason to subjugate harmful outside forces. He was able to overcome toxic attachment, reclaim his discipline, and resurface as a more centered, purposeful person thanks to this mental fortification. People are troubled not by objects, but rather by the beliefs and ideas they have about objects. Epictetus and the Stoics understood that genuine independence and fortitude come from inside. You cannot be overcome by an outside force unless your judgment permits it. We can free ourselves from the shackles of tragedies or temptations that weaken our resolve by controlling our mind's interpretations and wants. We fight countless fights in the trenches of modern life that try our strength. Social pressure-induced insecurity, addiction to transient pleasures, and deep loss-related anguish. By consistently defending our inner citadel of reason and integrity, lasting power emerges. Say to yourself first what kind of person you would be, and then take necessary action. Epictetus. The first step on this path is to carefully consider the values and characteristics you aspire to represent, such as courage, justice, temperance, and prudence. Then, you must remain steadfastly dedicated to living by that code, despite temptations and challenges. By adopting a Stoic mindset of self-control and resolve, we convert abstract concepts into real-world resilience. Those who endured the worst storms throughout history were unbreakable not because of their circumstances, but rather because of their unbreakable mentality. By constructing our inner fortress according to the Stoic tradition, we can likewise triumph over our battles with resilience, assuming accountability for the things under our control. The main thing in life is to just recognize and distinguish between things so that I can tell myself up front which are outside of my control and which are related to the decisions I can make. One of the most important aspects of Stoic resilience, according to Epictetus, is knowing what is under our control and directing our efforts accordingly. We maintain our strength and composure in the face of life's inevitable challenges when we deliberately acknowledge the boundaries of our influence. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful examples of this idea in history. He overcame personal tragedies, political unrest, and military wars as a Stoic philosopher, all of which continually tried his fortitude. Nonetheless, Jesus reminds us in Meditations to take advantage of the opportunities presented to you and let the rest work itself out. The premature deaths of Aurelius's wife and 7 children were beyond his control. Uprisings, epidemics, and foreign troops posing a threat to Rome were beyond his control. But even in these extremely difficult times, he ruled with grace and wisdom because he had learned to regulate his perspective and reactions. The universe is change. Our thoughts shape the life we lead. Marcus Aurelius in the current world, trying to manage things that are out of our control, business conflicts that turn into compulsive resentments, poisonous workplaces that we reluctantly stay in, and social media mockery that undermines our self-worth are the main causes of pain. By using the Stoic dichotomy of control, we acknowledge that we have no influence over the actions of others, the conditions of our employment, or the views of the general public. Our deliberate reaction is something we can manage. Will we behave honorably, bravely, and kindly, or will we wallow in fruitless regret? Each of us leads 2 lives. When we acknowledge that we only have one, the second starts. A remark from Confucius fits with Stoic philosophy. The dissemination of false information cannot be stopped when our reputations are openly questioned, but we can continue to be good people and diligently spread the truth. It is not within our power to control what other people do if we suddenly lose our jobs. Only our deft adaptation will be able to achieve so. Distinguishing external events from our mind's interpretations of them leads to a great internal emancipation. We stop fighting against things outside of ourselves and focus all of our energy on the one things we can control, our deliberate thoughts and deliberations. This is the sage's path of Stoicism. They gave up frustrations over things they could not control and directed their efforts where they mattered, doing it with cool assurance. They are given the ultimate freedom to remain steady in the face of any adversity by this transcendental realization. Discovering purpose despite adversity. The cosmos is changing. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." Adversity was not something that should only be tolerated or accepted, despite the fact that Stoics advised us to recognize what we can and cannot manage. The Stoic way actively converts setbacks into chances for development and purpose. Take the well-known opening lines of Meditations, in which Marcus Aurelius thanks the bad things that happened to him so that he may grow in patience, humility, self-control, and other areas. Adversity was embraced as a necessary raw material for consistently shaping an unwavering character. This idea matched the insight of Nietzsche, who drew inspiration from Stoicism. Someone with a reason to live can endure nearly any hardship. Almost any how or scenario becomes surmountable when we find the underlying purpose that motivates us through hardship. Consider Viktor Frankl's hardships during his years-long incarceration in Nazi concentration camps. Frankl's road to resilience began when he realized that, even in the most terrible circumstances, we have the utter freedom to control our inner selves and seek purpose in life. Everything may be stolen from a person, except for the final human freedom, the ability to choose one's attitude in every given situation, according to what he wrote. We all face a variety of challenges in our modern lives that can either lead to victimization and resentment or serve as stepping stones for relationship problems, financial difficulties, health problems, and personal development. If we see them as nothing more than unfair burdens, they can all cause us great sorrow. But if we approach problems from the standpoint that Aurelius, Viktor Frankl, and other Stoics exemplified, we turn them into chances to actualize virtues like acceptance, courage, patience, and so on. What emerges are personal development, a stronger bond with one's fundamental humanity, and the ability to persevere in the face of hardship. From life's school of combat, as Nietzsche so eloquently put it, "What does not destroy me makes me stronger." This Stoic transformation of challenges into sources of strength and significance is arguably the most profound way to weather life's unavoidable storms and come out stronger and more encouraged on the other side. Will you be an alchemist who uses every blow from adversity as fuel for personal progress, or a passive recipient of its blows? In the Stoic manner, the decision is entirely your own. The secret to cultivating wealth and virtue is to have few wants rather than many large assets. Epictetus asserts that the core of Stoic philosophy is the cultivation of virtues like courage, justice, temperance, and humility, as well as the pursuit of wisdom and reason. Adversity can be faced with steadfast determination when one has this ethical foundation. The Stoics understood that we need to firmly establish philosophical ideas and a cogent worldview in order to resist life's unavoidable upheaval. If not, we become adrift and are swept away by every wave of events. Take into consideration the potent narrative of Athenians mocking Socrates for being impious. Socrates, facing death, demonstrated the epitome of composure and bravely utilized his opportunity to apologize to promote wisdom. Socrates turned down Crito, his friend, when he later offered to help him break out of prison. Holding fast to his moral principles, he drank the deadly hemlock with composure, living up to his basic values of seeking the truth and obeying rules created by God. At the last, Socrates attained a state of transcendental calmness via complete possession of his logical mind and morally aligned will. The Stoics held Socrates in high regard as a model of the fortitude that results from deeply ingraining moral principles into one's identity and leading an introspective, reflective life. Because they possess an unbreakable mind and soul that are focused on wisdom, these individuals are able to summon the greatest strength from within and stay unflappable. Socrates turned down Crito, his friend, when he later offered to help him break out of prison. Holding fast to his moral principles, he drank the deadly hemlock with composure, living up to his basic values of seeking the truth and obeying rules created by God. At the last, Socrates attained a state of transcendental calmness via complete possession of his logical mind and morally aligned will. The Stoics held Socrates in high regard as a model of the fortitude that results from deeply ingraining moral principles into one's identity and leading an introspective, reflective life. because they possess an unbreakable mind and soul that are focused on wisdom. These individuals are able to summon the greatest strength from within and stay unflappable. Epictetus. Circumstances do not make the man. Rather, they expose him to himself. Everyday scenarios that test our poise. Moral conundrums for which there are no satisfactory answers. Devious workplace dynamics that put our morals to the test. And temptations that undermine our self-control all occur to us. Our handling of these reflects the values and guiding principles we have imparted. The Stoics advocated ongoing introspective exercises, including journaling on the nature of existence, negative imagery, and routinely going over the qualities to aspire to in order to develop a strong philosophical framework. The idea was to continuously reinforce our capacity for value-centric reasoning so that it would become deeply ingrained in us and serve as our go-to lens for interpreting the world. A sage was not suddenly lost when they faced tragedy or moral quandaries. Their refined wisdom, honed over years of intense self-study, shed light on the right and moral course of action. When the winds of chaos scream, this unwavering sense of philosophically grounded purpose and ethics offers unmatched resilience. A guy is closer to strength the closer he gets to a peaceful mind. Marcus Aurelius. Those who cultivate strong personal philosophies based in characteristics such as Stoicism, especially in this day and age, continue to be far more resilient than those who simply respond to events as they happen. They draw from an endless supply of power and belief. In the face of unfathomable persecution, hatred, and misfortune, individuals such as Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, and others have remained steadfast. Their unwavering commitment to justice, nonviolence, human dignity, and other moral precepts strengthened their spirit like impenetrable walls. The Stoic road is an enduring exhortation to diligently tend to the virtues, such as courage, knowledge, temperance, and justice, that we possess inside ourselves. We may cultivate the same incredible resilience as the greatest people in history by tending to this inner garden. Like strong oaks weathering any storm, we stay firmly rooted to our fundamental ideals and philosophies even in the worst of circumstances. The silent art, the capacity to thoroughly and methodically examine everything that falls under one's culture and life, has the greatest potential to enlarge one's intellect. Marcus Aurelius. The discipline of quiet and tranquility was recommended by the Stoics as essential to developing enduring inner strength, even as they placed a strong emphasis on developing resilient virtue and judgment. Regaining our composure and thoughtfulness, we revitalize our minds to handle the unavoidable upheavals of life. Think back to the narrative of the youthful Descartes in 1619. He was demoralized by the carnage while fighting in the 30 Years' War. He sought shelter in a steamy chamber with only a wood burner for several days. In these depths of solitude, Descartes developed the revolutionary philosophical theories that influenced contemporary Western philosophy. Descartes served as an example of how seclusion, stillness, and being cut off from distractions may bring clarity for the deeper discoveries that underpin our resilience. Just as a lake's waters must be calm to accurately reflect its surroundings, he needed time in quiet reflection before he could arrive at his renownedly strong maxim, "I think, therefore I am." Through self-reflection routines, journaling, meditation on the peaceful patterns of nature, and other practices meant to quiet the racing thoughts, the Stoics experienced this stillness on a regular basis. They taught us that we can only react steadily to external misfortune if we have inner calmness. Marcus Aurelius states that unseemly perspiration and anything that is considered imprudent are opened during washing and heat. We sorely need the Stoic antidote of lone silence in our hectic, technologically overstimulated modern existence. Without it, the constant barrage of inputs we are subjected to makes us disorganized, reactive, and enslaved. When faced with crises such as relationship breakdowns, decision fatigue, or overpowering emotions, stillness offers the space needed to sort through the chaos with focused rationality. Anxious minds only make suffering worse and impair rational thinking. By implementing Stoic techniques such as journaling, mindfulness, periodizing solitude, and contemplation into our daily routines, we provide essential breaks and safe havens to restore our calm. Similar to the greatest minds in history, this calm serves as the revitalizing source from which our composure, clarity, and well-considered reactions emerge in the face of difficulty. We can resist being subjugated by the ferocity of our feelings or the chaos of outside circumstances by practicing the discipline of stillness, instead of being subservient to their judgment. The Stoic, having developed the ability to distinguish calm and presence of mind, stays calmly anchored and constantly mindful of it. When the inevitable storms of tragedy come, We can draw upon the greatest reserves of fortitude by emulating the Stoic mastery of silence. We stay still, anchored in the unwavering serenity that resides within, while others are carried away. The soul is complete, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. We were meant to function as a unit, just like hands, feet, and eyes. It is not natural to obstruct one another. Marcus Aurelius. Being angry with someone and turning your back on them are barriers. At its foundation, Stoicism emphasizes our interconnectedness and shared humanity as a key source of resilience, despite the fact that it is sometimes characterized as a philosophy of rugged individualism. We develop the compassion, camaraderie, and understanding of life's cosmic scope that enable us to endure hardships on a personal level when we acknowledge our role within the greater total. The Stoics saw that humankind is inextricably bound together, not merely by social bonds, but also by our common ability to reason and virtue. The entire body is affected when someone cuts oneself. On the other hand, realizing this communion gives us courage, a sense of community, and the knowledge that we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. According to the Roman Stoic Musonius Rufus, the poet does not emerge from individuality but rather from the universality of sentiment. Poetry is created when a heartfelt impulse emerges from an understanding of what is truly human and universal. Rufus lived up to his ideals by leading by example. Greeks, Romans, slaves, and free citizens were all invited to participate on an equal footing in intellectual inquiry during his public lectures. Rufus promoted communities together by philosophy, virtue, and an understanding that we are not distinct but rather one in our core by highlighting our interwoven human nature. The resilience teachings of the Stoics are infused with this knowledge that we are individually unique nodes connected to the same universal spirit. Seneca reminded us that suffering comes with being in love. Still, the greatest comfort in life comes from having connection to others. Students should serve the world and other people in order to strengthen themselves. According to Epictetus, upheaval is never entirely isolated or pointless when we accept our interconnectedness. Deep appreciation for what was shared ingrained even loss. We establish a strong anchorage within the larger collective. Marcus Aurelius once said, "I have never been hurt by the impolite attitude of a good person because no one ever hurts my soul, nor can anyone hurt the soul of a person who is pure and sincere." There are many apparent divides in our day and age that sometimes seem to be ripping apart the bonds that link people together. Toxic tribalism, in-group/out-group mentalities, and growing polarization are only a few of the factors causing sorrow, pain, and estrangement. According to the Stoic perspective, these are merely surface-level delusions that momentarily conceal our profound interconnectedness. Hatred of others is considered detrimental to our souls because, like ripples spreading out from a dropped pebble in a calm pond, we are all connected by our capacity for reason. Humans also generate waves of animosity and hate, but because they recognize that we are all members of the same cosmic family, Stoics continue to be like the peaceful middle of the pond. All of their souls share kinship. As Aurelius stated, keep this in mind. Regaining a strong sense of unity gives our resilience a firm base. This base transcends interpersonal disputes or the us versus them mentality. Stoics perceive the large picture and concentrate on the dignity of every individual and the common nature of humanity, whereas others concentrate on division. From this angle, our spiritual base is impervious to even the strongest emotions of loneliness, not belonging, or relationship troubles. We grow resilient to severe winds, much like sturdy cedar trees. Our great network of interwoven roots, which binds us together into an age-old, cohesive whole, is just as strong as our trunks. We strengthen the human ties that bind us together every time we are nice to one another, lend a helping hand, and see past differences to acknowledge our common humanity. This sense of belonging provides us the willpower to persevere through difficult moments. Remember me, what a man should fear is not death, but rather never starting to live. Memento mori by Marcus Aurelius. This Latin proverb, which means remember you must die, might not seem like a source of courage at all, but it is precisely in facing our death that the Stoics find their greatest sources of fortitude, meaning, and genuine presence. We are socialized from an early age to avoid thinking about death, which is the ultimate destiny of everything that exists. To live each moment more fully, the Stoics, however, firmly grounded themselves in this grim fact. Let us, as Seneca suggested, prepare our minds as though we were nearing the conclusion of our lives. Let's not put anything off. Let's balance the books of life every day. The person who completes their life every day has an endless supply of time. Think about Marcus Aurelius' well-known opening remarks in his meditation. Human life is a brief breath, the pause of a moment, and it has vanished into eternity. This profound realization of life's impermanence served as his compass for leading an intentional life. By asking, "What is this creation of which we are a part?" Epictetus effectively made his point. Who is in charge of everything overall? For what purpose were we created? Get up for once in your life. The Stoics thought that by stunning us into this state of heightened existential present, death awareness would lessen our fear of passing away. The insignificant things that cause us so much anxiety these days become insignificant when we really understand that every breath is limited. We become alchemists, transforming our passing into a profound gratitude for being. Nothing makes the busy man less busy than Seneca in real life. There are countless examples of how a clear mortality awareness unlocks great knowledge, resilience, and purposeful vitality, from leaders like Winston Churchill, who fought death quietly every night in World War II bomb shelters, to Randy Pausch's legendary last talk before losing his battle with cancer. These examples demonstrate this. Steve Jobs captured this essence when he said, "The best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose is to remember that you are going to die." The Stoics understood that facing our impending death head-on was the best way to develop the unshakable courage needed to brave any storm without fear. When we overcome our fundamental fear, nothing can stop us. All difficulties and disappointments become less significant. We begin to enjoy every moment to the fullest and don't put off the pursuit of the things that truly matter in life. Marcus Aurelius, consider how many times you have neglected to pursue your hobbies and allowed opportunities to pass you by. By practicing this memory mori, one can become immune to the sneaky ways that modern culture distracts us from what really matters: spiritual death, mindless busyness, hedonistic trivialities, and chronic procrastination. By ritualizing reflections on our finitude, we seize the opportunity to consciously anchor our days, just as Aurelius did with the first breath in the morning. The Stoics stayed hyper-present in a world where most people are constantly distracted, not because they were pessimistic, but rather because they fully accepted and respected the value of every single heartbeat. Their endurance and deeper, more profound zest for life were sparked by death. Let's get ready by assuming that nothing from today will be around tomorrow. Seneca, the Stoic premeditation malorum, or premeditation of evil, is another potent technique. We gradually become used to the certainty of our deaths and the loss of loved ones when we visualize them often and clearly. Such occurrences scatter the fear and horror from this serene location. We can be steady and composed like a hurricane's eye when the winds of mortality finally blow through. We have received the hard instruction of accepting our inevitable death and learning to appreciate the present moment instead of running from it. The constant reminder of death's sharp clarity, like a tuning fork, makes us live less like careless leaves in the wind and more like masters skillfully navigating any storms that arise, because we have focused our entire life on the one thing that will always provide a stable foundation: the decision to live each moment with profound reverence for its profound fleetingness. We have discovered important Stoic teachings and techniques for developing unwavering inner strength during our investigation. The universe is change. Our thoughts shape the life we lead. Through altering our viewpoint, we can turn challenges into chances. Although no one can have all they desire, they can choose not to want what they lack. By strengthening our resilience, we may prosper while staying within our sphere of influence. What a man should fear is not death, but rather never starting to live. Accepting our death awakens a deep desire to live each moment to the fullest. The secret is to surround yourself only with positive people whose very being inspires you to be at your best. When we align ourselves with intelligence and virtue, we gain incredible power. Any outward misery you experience is not a result of the object itself, but rather of your assessment of it, which you are free to change at any time. The real driver of resilience is our attitude. What counts is how you respond to whatever happens to you. Although events are often beyond our control, our reactions are. Say to yourself first what kind of person you would be, and then take necessary action. It is vital that we adhere to our values without wavering. Action is aided by the obstacle to action. What obstructs the path eventually becomes it. It's crucial to reframe challenges as opportunities. It is not objects that disturb men, but rather the perspective they have of them. Our suffering for peace is shaped by our viewpoint, not by outside circumstances. Becoming a living example of morality, knowledge, self-control, and a cosmic connection that surpasses all human suffering is the path of the Stoic. What would have happened to Hercules if there had been no lion, hydra, stag, or boar, as well as no ferocious criminal to rid the world of? As Epictetus memorably challenged, in a situation so devoid of circumstances worthy of his skill, What would he have done? Everybody has their own struggles, obstacles in the workplace, health issues, marital problems, and times when their resolve is put to the test. The tenets of Stoicism equip us to face these difficulties not as terrible monsters, but rather as a rich source of opportunity to reach our greatest capacity for resilience as human beings. Accept the Stoic way of life by developing your judgment, walking the road of virtue, cultivating inner serenity, and realizing that we are all human. Every challenge should be seen as a chance to achieve the ultimate independence of a calm mind that is undisturbed by outside events. By doing this, we defend our spiritual sovereignty and arm ourselves with the unbreakable power that Marcus Aurelius advocated. Maintain a straightforward, moral, pure, serious, unwavering, friend of justice, modest, welcoming, and unwavering use of reason. It is your decision to live up to the ageless wisdom of the Stoics. May their lessons help you remain steadfast in your unshakable fortitude through whatever tempests of fate or fortune lie ahead.